Hello, my name is Tyler Graham, and for my marketing plan, I will be presenting on a company named Great Install Consulting. Before we get started on the plan itself, allow me to take a few minutes to give you a brief overview of the company. Great Install Consulting is a fictitious startup that will be in the healthcare IT consulting industry with a primary focus on Epic, one of the leading electronic medical record or EMR systems in the world. The motto of our company is collaboration, education, innovation, and elevation. And what it aims to do is give the customer an idea of what it is that we are aiming to do when we partner with them. We want to collaborate with their staff. We want to educate their staff so that they are prepared for long-term success. Provide innovative problem solutions to the issues that they're facing at their company, and to elevate their company to a higher level than they were before they brought us on. For the purpose of this marketing plan, we will say that Great Install Consulting has less than 20 full-time employees comprised of their leadership, their recruiters, an accounting department, administrative staff, and consultants. Now let's move on to the environmental analysis with a specific focus on the marketing environment. The competitive forces of this industry are as follows. It is a very large industry. Healthcare is growing quicker than almost any other industry, and along with that, the healthcare consulting industry as well, specifically in IT, as many companies shift over to electronic medical record systems. The industry is comprised of many large competitors such as the Advisory Board, Optimum, Accenture, HCI Group, and more. With the economic forces, EMR implementations can be very expensive for an organization, often costing hundreds of millions of dollars. And while their budget may not match that level of money, they that does incentivize healthcare organizations to spend what is necessary in order to be successful with their implementation. A poor EMR implementation can bankrupt an organization. So while it may be expensive in the short term to bring on consulting help, it can create a very profitable long-term run for that organization. With the election of Donald Trump, we can expect many political forces to factor into the healthcare industry and thus the healthcare IT consulting industry. There are shifts that are going to be expected in Obamacare, and those changes must be accounted for in how organizations utilize their EMR in order to get reimbursement from various payers. In the healthcare industry right now, there's also a very big shift towards a value-based model of reimbursement rather than a volume-based model. And these must be accounted for as there's an expected shift towards an increase in ambulatory and primary care services rather than hospital or inpatient services. Obviously, when we talk about doing a healthcare electronic medical record system, technology is at the forefront there. And the goal of many EMRs is to have seamless and coordinated care available for the patients among their various healthcare providers. In addition, Epic, excuse me, offers tools such as MyChart and Welcome, which is a portal and a concierge kiosk that can be used in order to help streamline patient care using technology. Finally, culture in the US today is moving towards a more educated and informative approach towards healthcare. Healthcare is often viewed as being clunky and cumbersome, but one of the goals of an EMR system is to help mitigate that discord so that the patient has a better understanding of the care they're receiving. And that's very much what we want to do as Great Install Consulting. For our target markets, we are going to specifically focus on organizations that are in the pre-live stage of Epic implementation, meaning they have not yet gone live. And for the purposes of a budget, we're going to focus mainly on organizations in the southeast of the United States. Because we're based out of Greenville, South Carolina, we want to keep our recruiting costs low, and so we'll stay mostly local for our first year. For our current marketing objectives, we want to focus on the three primary categories associated with service industries because what we are providing is a service. The first will be external marketing, which is getting our name out there to our potential customers, letting them know what types of services we offer. And much of this will be done using social media campaigns, recruiting events, and face-to-face interactions with our customers. We also want to do internal marketing. One of the things that sets us apart at at Great Install Consulting is that our consultants are the recruiters. Oftentimes, the folks that we meet with our company have a very in-depth knowledge of the issues they're facing. So who better to tell them how we can mitigate those issues than the consultants that will actually be doing that for them. So for that reason, we will have our consultants serving as the recruiters, which will require training on the art of recruiting. Finally, we have our interactive marketing. As I just mentioned, this is kind of a continuation of our internal marketing. Our employees are the marketers, and we want them to market well when they're interacting with the customers and when they're performing their jobs, which again will require some level of training. Finally, let's move into our SWOT analysis here. So for some of our different strengths here, you can see that the combination of services that we offer, again, as I mentioned before with our motto, our goal is to collaborate, to educate, to innovate, and to elevate. So many of the competitors in this industry focus on staffing supplementation, and while we will offer that, we want to go above and beyond that. We want to leave the customer staff better off than when we first got there. And that's a big part of what we offer. Our location in Greenville, South Carolina is a wonderful up and coming city that is getting national attention. We expect to leverage this to attract employees to our organization. Not only that, but many Epic healthcare organizations are located within 2 hours of Greenville, anywhere from from Charlotte down to Atlanta. Our staff is also another strength. We have a lot of former Epic employees on staff with a in-depth background knowledge of the system that's very beneficial to our customers. Our leadership is strong. They come with multiple Epic implementations under their belt and know what the customer is going through and know what to expect, and we're able to communicate that to the customer. The experience of our staff, every consulting staff member will have gone through at least 2 to 3 Epic implementations. Again, this experience comes very much, it's very helpful for our customers knowing that they're working with people who have been in their shoes. Finally, the culture is of utmost importance at Great Install. We're not aiming to charge as much as we possibly can for services. We want to provide quality services that benefit the organizations and the patients they serve, and that really shines to our customers. Some of our weaknesses, as I mentioned, we are a startup, so we have no portfolio to work from and no customers or references that we can work from. So much of our initial time, effort, and energy will be spent attracting new customers. We're also very small, as I mentioned, with less than 20 full-time staff members. Um, there are somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 Epic consulting firms. Many of those are large, like I mentioned before. So we're competing with a lot of big fish in what may be considered a small pond. Or excuse me, we are competing with big fish in a big pond. We are a small fish in a big pond. We also have a narrow scope, as I mentioned. The healthcare industry is huge. Healthcare IT in general is very large as well, but we are focused mainly uh, on Epic, which kind of narrows our market a little bit. We also have limited resources because we are a small startup. We don't have the resources both in staff and in cash that our competitors do, so we're more limited in what we have to offer at the beginning. Finally, our financial stability. Because we are a startup, costs are very expensive at the beginning for us in order to recruit customers. And so we must be very careful that we stick to our budget. Our opportunities here, Epic is consistently developing new applications that are available to customers, and we want to leverage those to our benefit by staffing consultants that can work on these newer applications before our competitors do. We also, as I mentioned before, want to use innovative technology to our benefit. This includes the patient portal of MyChart and the concierge kiosk of Welcome. Meaningful use. This is part of the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, and it mandates that healthcare organizations adopt and demonstrate meaningful use of medical records. It just proves that EMRs are growing. They're not going anywhere. They're becoming more and more popular, which means our business will be growing as well. Finally, Epic sponsors two large conferences every year, and it usually typically involves many of their customers, if not all of their customers, going to their headquarters in Verona, Wisconsin, which is a great networking event and something we want to use to our advantage here at Great Install Consulting. Some threats, as I mentioned earlier, very large competitors that have seemingly unlimited resources that could potentially work us out of the market. The market is very saturated, as I mentioned before, with up to 2,000 other firms there. We do have a niche target market because we are only looking really at those pre-live um, the pre-live organizations for right now. Our staffing, we only have 12 consultants, which means we can only serve 12 customers at maximum at one time. And finally, healthcare budgets. Healthcare continues to shift, as I mentioned before, towards a value-based reimbursement model, which is causing some organizations to experience an initial decline in revenue. Decline in revenue leads to tighter budgets, which means they may not be looking to spend as much on consultants as they were before. So, in order to um, match our strengths to our opportunities and convert our weaknesses and threats, a couple things that we'll do is we want to employ staff that specialize in newer applications in order to get ahead of the curve with our competition. Educate our employees in healthcare trends, both political and legal, so that we can help customers through those shifts. And finally, we also want to utilize Epic conferences for recruiting and networking purposes by hosting events at those conferences. We want to develop competitive strategy and benefits packages to recruit the best consultants to our firm. And we want to diversify our service offerings so that customers have a larger portfolio to pick from when choosing us to be their consulting providers. We'll cover our marketing goals and objectives real quick. As I mentioned before, we want to have an internal marketing training program where we're educating our staff members on how to be the marketers and the recruiters for our company. We want to begin having recruiting meetings with potential customers with a goal of having 50 of those in our first 6 months. As I mentioned, we want to host events at each of the Epic conferences. One is held in April, the other in September, and we would like to attract at least 20 different customers to each of these events. Finally, we're going to host a social media campaign offering free 3-hour consulting sessions with some of our best consultants in order to show customers what we have to offer. Our goal is to run this campaign for 3 months and to conduct 30 sessions during that time frame. Our target markets, once again, are pre-live Epic organizations, specifically those that are in the southeastern United States. And we also want to look to organizations that are looking to optimize with technology. Again, that's the main focus there is MyChart and Welcome. Those are I would say weak areas of the consulting industry today. So we want to take advantage of that and offer something that many of our competitors do not. Take a look at our marketing mix. Again, our product really is a service. We do offer Epic consulting services, and again, the heart of our services is that we collaborate and educate the existing staff, provide innovative problem solutions, and elevate the company to new levels that they have not previously achieved. Our prices, we want to be competitive. The average is approximately $70 an hour for an Epic consultant. That's the cost to the organization. So we want to stay there, especially at the beginning, in order to be a cost-effective option for our customers. Though we would look to increase that price over time based on certain variables such as the consultant's experience as well as the particular application that we're consulting in. The place, we will provide on-site support, typically Monday through Thursday for our customers. We will also have remote support options available for customers that are looking to save costs. For the promotion, we will use social media such as LinkedIn and Twitter to reach our various potential customers. And we will have direct contact with them as well as face-to-face meetings at the beginning in order to recruit them to use our services. As for our marketing implementation and our marketing organization plan, our first goal will be to identify and meet with potential customers. Leadership will identify some of these customers as well as our recruiters and contact them through primarily LinkedIn. The recruiters and the consultants will conduct these meetings with the customers in order to explain the services that we have available. We will also do a social media campaign in which we will ask customers to send us what issues they're experiencing, and we will conduct a free 3-hour consulting session with them in which we'll provide our suggestions for solutions to that issue. The hope here is again that we will show them what we have to offer as a consulting firm. The campaign will be developed by leadership and executed by our administrative staff by running our social media accounts, as well as consultants who will be assisting in the actual consulting sessions themselves. Finally, the Epic conference events. Those will be developed by leadership and also coordinated by our administrative staff. And we will have leadership, recruiting, and consultants all present for those events in Wisconsin. For phase one, focusing primarily on our first year, here's a bit of a timeline for what we're looking to do. As I mentioned, we do want to have 50 of our initial recruiting meetings in the first 6 months, and we would like to have our first contract signed with a customer by the end of March. We will also conduct our social media campaign, offering those free consulting sessions from the beginning of April until the end of May, with a goal of having 30 sessions during that time. The EPIC Expert Group meetings, or XGM conference, is held at the end of April, and we will host one of our events there where we will invite potential customers, to join us for drinks and appetizers. We would like to have half of our contracts signed. Again, our goal there is to have 12 contracts signed in the first year, so we'd like to have at least 6 of those signed by the end of June. The EPIC user group meetings, similar to XGM, are conducted in September, and we will host a similar event during that time, again hoping to attract at least 20 potential customers to that event. Finally, we would like to have all 12 of our initial contracts signed by the end of November. For our 5-year extension plan, we would like to begin offering specialty package offerings. And what these are, so Epic has a number of various, what I would call a project within a project that is necessary for an implementation. And so what we would like to do is add packages where our consulting services can come in and lead one of those projects within the overall project to help alleviate some stress from the organization. So we would like to add 2 additional project offerings every year for our first 5 years. We would also like to develop an extensive consulting staff at Great Install Consulting. We'd like to have a dedicated HR staff by the end of year 2 that will help to recruit these consultants to our organization. And by the end of year 3, we'd like to have at least 2 analysts for every Epic application that is offered. We'd also like, in the next 5 years, to nationalize our consumer base. Currently, we're working in just a few different regions in the states, the southeastern states that I mentioned earlier. But by the end of our first 5 years, we would like our target market to cover 50 regions in at least 20 different states. We would also like to increase the profile of our customers, working with at least 200 customers in our first 5 years. To put us on track for that, we would want to double our customer base every year for the first 5 years. By the end of year 2, we'd also like to have an account management division in place to help care for our existing customers. This would take the burden off of leadership and recruiters to ensure that our customers are well cared for and have a contact with our organization. Finally, and perhaps the most superficial of our goals, is to have a home base in downtown Greenville, South Carolina. We feel that this home base would offer a great workspace for consultants that are working remotely, as well as offices for our non-traveling staff and meetings for customers when they're in town. The goal of this space would be to attract future employees to our company. Our final topic that we'll cover today is our evaluation and control. Our first year marketing budget is a total of $140,000. And again, this is just for marketing. This does not include overhead or salaries. Our recruiting meetings, as I mentioned, we'd like to have 50 in the first 6 months and ideally another 50 in the second 6 months. So we're going to budget $10,000 for that. That means we're budgeting about $1,000 per meeting. Some will obviously be more, some will be less. This will include travel and lodging for our recruiters and consultants, as well as meals for them, as well as the customer. The Epic conference events, we are budgeting $30,000. That's $15,000 per event, and this includes travel for our staff to the event, as well as the food and drinks necessary to host this event. Finally, our social media campaigns, we're budgeting $10,000 for any fees required with any of the services that we use, especially for analytical software to help us measure our goals to ensure that our campaigns are successful. What is going to make us successful, I believe, and one of the big reasons that I think we will be able to meet our goals is that every activity that we've discussed so far has a very specific goal that is tied very directly with one of our business objectives, which is one of the key breakdowns in many companies when marketing fails. We want our marketing campaign to be directly related to business objectives. We believe this will help simplify the monitoring and measuring process so that we can very easily track the success of each program throughout the duration, not waiting until the end, so that we can adjust course if needed if something is not going well. During the first year, we will have weekly leadership meetings to do just that, to monitor the progress of our goals and of our actions so that we can ensure that we are going to be successful. Here are the references that were used for the marketing plan and in the presentation. Again, the goal of great install marketing is collaboration, education, innovation, and elevation. We believe that we can come in and not only provide a short-term boost for your organization, but also prepare you for long-term success after we're gone. I hope that you've enjoyed this presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to direct those to me. Thank you.